Zendaya here today with another episode of Star Wars Alternate History. Today's question is, what if Luke turned to the dark side? Now, we have to kind of pinpoint a point in time where this was most likely to happen to Luke. And for me, this point in time would be on the second Death Star when the Emperor is tempting him over to the dark side and telling him to kill him. So this is the point in time we're going to look at. So essentially, the question is, what if Luke turned to the dark side on the second Death Star? So, the first thing is there's kind of two options here. Either Luke becomes Vader's apprentice because he strikes down the Emperor, or he becomes the Emperor's apprentice and the Emperor gets rid of Vader. Because Luke is seen as the replacement for Vader, I guess you could say, in manner or fashion. And he's also Vader's son and likely more powerful than Vader, younger. He's not a robot. And he can be influenced by present feeling, as much of the feelings Vader are connected to are in the past. So, anyways, the point is, what's going to happen after this? So, either he becomes Vader's or the Emperor's apprentice. Now, which one really all this affects is, okay, if Vader becomes the new Emperor, then there will be some changes in how the empires run. If the Emperor remains the Emperor, it's not going to be as much of a change. It will be more change of how Second Command is run. Luke is probably less likely to simply kill off people. Other than, again, he's on the dark side, so we can't really predict what Luke would be like on the dark side. You probably couldn't have predicted what Anakin would be like on the dark side early on, because especially if you watch Clone Wars, because you can see so much good in him, but at the same time you can see those evil streaks there, but you can't exactly tell what he will become. So what Luke will become is hard to tell, but what is likely to happen due to this is easy to tell. The first obvious thing is this is likely going into alliance as long as Endor is still lost. I mean, if they lose Endor. So in this scenario, we're assuming the rebels still lose Endor. And here's a little information why they're likely to lose Endor. So Grand Admiral Thrawn had a little theory basically stating that the Emperor is what was holding the Empire together. So essentially, having this Emperor at this battle, the Emperor was kind of situating the whole battle, using the Force to keep everything together, not let things get crazy. But as soon as the Emperor died, the uh, executor went down, and things just, there was no order anymore at the Battle of Endor. He was just keeping things together. So as long as Vader or Emperor lived lived at this point with the dark side intact, because obviously Vader turned to the light side at the end of this battle. But if either of them lived with the dark side intact, based on Grand Admiral Thrawn's theory, it is likely that they will have still won the battle. So we are assuming the Rebel Alliance loses the battle in this scenario. So, assuming the Rebel Alliance also loses the battle in this scenario because of Grand Admiral Thrawn's theory, then Luke is likely to put an end to the Alliance. Think about it, Luke is a top-notch agent for the Alliance. He knows what the Alliance does. He knows how they think. He knows where they hide. He knows their ships. Essentially, this is an end for the Alliance because Luke knows so much information about them. It's bad. Now, there would still be remnants of the Alliance that could live, but not in the situated form it is at the point of Endor, with so much strategy and so much put together. It'd have to go back to more individual groups on different planets fighting for freedom that will eventually come back together. If you want to hear more about that idea of eventually the Alliance would come back and still live, I believe I talked about that in another video. Anyways, the Empire leadership. There would be a slight change in leadership depending on what Luke turning to the dark side either way. If it's Darth Vader becoming the new Emperor, there's going to be a much bigger change in Empire leadership. Now, who exactly this leadership is going to be, that's unpredictable. Next, again, the top rebel leaders will go into hiding if not killed at Endor. Now, not all of them may go into hiding. You may have people such as Han Solo and Leia that are trying to turn Luke back over to the light side, or may simply stay on the run. But many of them are going to go into hiding or will be defeated in battle because there isn't many other options. I would likely say if the Emperor were killed, there wouldn't be a third Death Star built. Well, again, if the Emperor were either way in this scenario, we're assuming the second Death Star isn't destroyed, because the second Death Star being destroyed would indicate the win at the Battle of Endor. But even if it were destroyed and Luke and Vader made it out alive and the battle were still won, I don't think there would be a third Death Star built, because Vader is a different personality from the Emperor. Vader was more one of struggle. Well, not struggle, but of tight control through himself, not through fear. As it's hard to explain, but there's a difference between the Emperor and Vader. And Vader wouldn't rule the same way the Emperor rules, so I think it's less likely their Death Star would be built. And we don't know exactly how Luke would act through the dark side. So, again, third Death Star unlikely. Vader would likely also search for Leia. Now, whether or not Vader already knew about Leia at this point is kind of iffy. I think he did. Anyways, Vader loved his children. He would prefer to have brought them over to the dark side than to kill them, and therefore would have likely captured Leia and tried turning her over. Especially, and you know that if Luke turned to the dark side, there'd be no doubt that would be the aim. Because, again, you have to remember why Vader turned to the dark side, and that was to protect his loved ones. And even if a father who hasn't been with his children his whole life, they're still loved ones. And that was part of the reason he wanted to turn Luke over to the dark side. He was his son. And furthermore, after Endor, there was an Imperial meeting on Akiva in the official canon. I believe this meeting would not happen because there would be no need for it, because there would be a clear path of Imperial leadership. And that was what the meeting was dealing with, was Imperial leadership and what to do next. Now, some stuff that would change in non-canon in the expanded universe or legends. No reborn Jedi Order. If Luke turns to the dark side, there really isn't any hope left of rebirthing the Jedi Order. Luke was the only true Jedi left. He was the only one left to go out and train other Jedi. Without him, I mean, there could end up being a Jedi Order, but it wouldn't be for another few hundred years. And he was the last Jedi remaining after Yoda died that we know of that had the ability to rebirth the Jedi Order. Now, there are some other minor Jedi and whatnot that had survived the Clone Wars, but none of them to the extent of Luke would have been able to restore the actual Jedi Order, and also Luke had prestige and whatnot behind him. Not only that, the Jedi Order comes in very handy in later years, and Luke also did. Luke helped stop Thrawn. The new Jedi Order helped in the Swarm Wars. They helped in the Yuzhan Vong War, and they became the new protectors of the Empire. They also kind of brought back a resurgence of some old Sith. But the point being, without Jedi and people like Luke, there are many threats that would not have been stopped or have easily been stopped or would have occurred in a different manner if it weren't for them. Like the Yus Van Vong would have likely torn through the Empire because the biggest weapon that the New Republic had against them was the Jedi, because the Jedi were so special and unique. And so essentially, there's no way to predict exactly the full effect of Luke change, because every single Jedi he trains, and that those Jedi then train in the Legends, is another effect, because everything they did would not have happened or would have been different, or the Empire or the galaxy would have been worse in Star Wars without it. So essentially, the biggest threat of Luke turning to the dark side be a threat that there would be no new Jedi Order. Now, from what we know in canon, Luke has not started up the Jedi Order yet, even 35 years after, but looks like that may be starting in the present, uh, in the movies coming out soon. So, anyways, this is what I think would have happened if Luke turned to the dark side on the second Death Star. Please comment below on future topics for me to do, and keep watching. Thanks, Minecraft. Thanks, Star Wars Indiana signing out. And by the way, this series is going to be done weekly now, as long as I'm constantly getting topics. So thanks again to the couple people who have started commenting, and see you guys later.